Right, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Off out today despite it being a little bit, well, it's blue sky, but it's been raining quite heavily. We'll see how we get on. I think the roads might be a bit dodgy. We'll see. Yes, and welcome back. Good to have you with me. Nothing much to talk about today actually, apart from a story that about what's been happening over the past few days. I went out on the bike a few days ago to meet at another cafe. I didn't film it. I wasn't feeling it that day. I didn't put the camera on, and I hadn't got a lot of time. So off I went and met up with a few of the chaps. Just get to this junction. Yes, met up with a few of the chaps, and there's a bit of a medical situation happened. So what happened was one of my friends had a nosebleed, which is normally nothing that you'd write home about, is it? We've all had one of those, but this was quite a serious one. And to cut a long story short, an hour later it was still bleeding profusely, and we all decided that we needed an ambulance. So we rang the ambulance, and as you know at the moment, or you may not know, in the UK getting an ambulance is not the easiest thing in the world, to say the least. Anyway, roughly an hour later, I think it was. Oh, he's in a rush. Yeah, roughly an hour later the ambulance arrived, by which time the bleeding had still continued to the same extent. Luckily the chap, I won't name him for his own privacy, but the chap was fine, and to be honest, the amount of blood he had lost, I honestly thought he'd start feeling faint, because he must have lost, well, a considerable amount. It was everywhere. But he stood up to it well, fair play to him, even though he's not the youngest chap like myself, and he's on blood thinners, which might explain how profusely it was bleeding. So we got in the ambulance, but that of course meant that his bike was stuck at the cafe, so I told him I'll sort it out, not to worry about it, just concentrate on getting yourself better, and the treatment that he was going to have. He was going to have the nose cauterized. So I didn't want him to sort of worry about that. So the last thing you want is to worry about your bike when you've got all that going on. So I rode home. We locked the bike up. I rode home, and luckily my neighbour was outside the house. Normally my son would have given me a lift up to go and fetch the bike, but he was at work. It was that time of day, and there was nobody else that I could get to give me a lift. So, but luckily my neighbour was outside, and I'd had a chat with him only the morning before about another subject. So hats off to him. I said, I was cheeky, and I said, I don't suppose you could just drop me up the road, could you? It's about 8 to 10 miles away. I need to pick this chap's bike up and get it in before I've got to go to work tonight. I didn't want to leave it overnight if I could possibly do that. And he said, yeah, no problem whatsoever. So just shows good neighbours, good people everywhere, isn't there? And it was nice, because he drove me up there, and I got a chance to have a good chat with him and get to know him, which was really nice actually. Oh, here we go. It's a set of traffic lights. Ah, how unusual. Yes, and as you noticed, the Audi Q7 that came storming past me at about 70 miles an hour a minute ago, it's right there. Yes, so back to the story. My neighbour gave me a lift up. We managed to get the bike sorted and started. And it was actually a machine that I've ridden before. It was the Triumph 955i, the green one that I did a little test on a few months back. So I had actually ridden the bike before, and I managed to get it back home, get it into my garage, tucked away safely. And then I dropped the chap a text saying, don't worry about your bike, it's all sorted. Because it was left in a pretty vulnerable place. This cafe isn't habitated. Habitated? There's nobody there at night. Let's just keep it simple. Oh, I'm tired this morning. Yeah, there's no one there at night, so it was left there in the car park. There would be no other vehicles around, and we hid it as best we could. But yeah, I could just imagine coming back to it. It had gone, which is the last thing I wanted. So luckily within a couple of hours I had it tucked away in my garage and everything was safe, so that was sorted. And the good news is that a couple of days after, well, he's fine now. A couple of days after he came and got the bike, but not before. On the day of the incident, despite it being about 1:30 that he got into the ambulance, he didn't get out of the ambulance until 11 o'clock at night. No, that's right, 11 o'clock at night till he actually got out the ambulance, and he had his nose cauterised inside the ambulance. The doctor came out to him. That, sadly, is the state of the ambulance service in the NHS at the moment, and I know we've all got stories about that sort of thing, and it's really quite worrying, isn't it? But they did a great job. He then went into the hospital after he'd had it cauterised and spent a couple of hours in there while they monitored him. His heart rate was all over the place, and not surprisingly going through all that. But yeah, 2 days later I spoke to him the next morning. A couple of days later he came round and picked the bike up, so he's back on the bike, and hopefully today he'll actually be there at the cafe, back at it again. So really pleased that he's all okay and everything's sorted. The only other thing I wanted to talk about actually was the channel itself. I'll be a little bit talking about myself here a bit, well, about my own channel anyway, but I just want to thank all my subscribers. I mean, I say all my subscribers, I haven't got tens of thousands or anything, but we're actually closing in, unbelievably, on the 500 mark, which by all accounts, I'm no YouTube expert, by all accounts is an important number, because I think the algorithms start to change at that point and you get a lot more recommendations, so you're more likely to pick up more. A snowball sort of effect can happen from that point. So I really appreciate everyone that subs. And incidentally, if you're listening and if you haven't subbed, could you do that please? It would be fantastic to reach that 500, just to see where the channel can go. I must admit, I started it as much as anything as a sort of an exercise, because I was interested in the whole idea of making videos and how you do it and how you edit them, and I watch all the other guys making videos, and I just thought, I wonder if I could do that. So it was almost like a personal test really for myself. I just wanted to, so I bought very basic cheap equipment. As you know, I did a little video on the equipment that I use. It's all basic stuff, and I thought I'll try it out, see how I go. I'll give it a little while, see if I don't get any subscribers. That's fine, but it'll be an interesting exercise, basically just an exercise. And well, that was about 3 months ago. I think I'm right in saying it was about 3 months ago, and I've got, I think, 440, 450 subscribers, which is incredible. I never expected to get that many, but some of you seem to enjoy it, so that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you subbing. So I've got a decision to make now. The winter's coming, and so it's a natural sort of break into next season, and I've got to decide what am I going to do with the channel. I'm working with very basic equipment, including a basic laptop, which is the main problem, because my laptop isn't good enough really to edit videos. It isn't strong and powerful enough, so I need to invest some money, basically, both in cameras, probably a new camera, a new microphone, go into 4K so I can upgrade the picture quality, but for that I will need a much better computer in order to edit 4K material. So I suppose the investment is going to be, well, I hate to say it, but it's going to be at least £1,000, which is a lot of money to invest in a hobby. Well, it is for me, anyway. I know some of you out there, that's pocket money, but not for me. I'm close to retirement, and I'm trying to keep a little bit of money behind me so that I can hopefully last out once I retire. And I've got a few other issues. I've got a disability, which means that from a bike accident, which I may have mentioned before, which means I'm limited to what sort of work I can do, so that's limited my earnings over the years. So yeah, I've got to be careful, but I've really enjoyed it. The feedback I've got from you, everyone, has been absolutely amazing, and really enjoyable to answer your questions and reply. I really appreciate it, and I try and read absolutely every one of them, and try and reply to everyone as well. So I think the choice is now to go for it, really, to upgrade the equipment, upgrade the all the bits and bobs, and get a plan together of how I'm going to improve the channel in the future. I like the vlogging part of it, what I'm doing, like, you know, now. I enjoy that, and I enjoy watching that, actually. I'm not going to go down the route of having sort of stock footage or old footage and just do a talk over. Doesn't interest me, that at all. I like the live feeling of being on a bike and watching a bike actually going along. That's what I enjoy, and reacting as I ride along, sorry. That's my thing, so I'm going to keep that, but add to it and try and make it better quality. That's basically the plan. So it's just a big thank you, really, to everyone who's joined me and subbed. And if you haven't subbed, if you would, massively appreciate it, because if I can get to that 500, it's going to help the channel enormously. Apparently, that's apparently how it works. The algorithm starts to work in my favour instead of against me. So it would be marvellous if you could sub. So as usual, we're getting close to the calf now. So once I get the new equipment and get myself sorted for next season, I'll obviously do a lot more content, varying content on trips and going further afield. I'm talking about other subjects, and hopefully the channel will progress. If not, no problem, but if it does, it does. But I think it's worth a try, despite the rather large investment needed. So there we are. We're going to see, call in for a coffee now, check out how my friend is. I'm sure he's back together now. It's as long as he's come out. I mean, the weather hasn't been that good, but he said he was going to come out today, so hopefully he's there. Yes, he is. I can see him. So that's all from me. Thanks very much for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.